feel blind. That's when I heard a gurgle and a slop of something wet land near my left shoe. I panicked when I heard the sound jump to one side, landing in a huge muddy puddle. I scrunched my toes in my shoe to try and keep it from being sucked off my foot and into the mud. I tried to tell myself to relax and not make things worse by overreacting. I couldn't hear any more noises or movement around me, and so I reached into my pocket to get my phone out for some extra light. I was pretty confident that if I didn't panic, I'd be able to free my shoe and get on my way. I could feel a different atmosphere around me. That's the best way to explain it, the air just felt different. Not electrical but full of energy. It's really hard to explain this in words, so I'm sorry. I knew that I was only 5 or 10 minutes away from my street and would soon be in my comfy chair beating my cousin at football. I couldn't imagine how wrong I was. There are no streetlights down the patch obviously, and it's just trees on both sides. I pressed the button on my phone and the screen flashed bright again. Her face was next to my right hip. Her eyes were milky white and her bloated face was bluey green in the light. Half of her scalp was missing and I automatically gagged at the smell when she spoke. "Ollie's come looking for me," she said. Her voice sounded wet. I ran, leaving my shoe in the mud. I ran until my lungs burned. I didn't play football with my cousin that night. I didn't sleep either. The next day my mum came into my room to check on me because I am usually the first person up. She gave me a cup of tea and noticed my hand shaking. I must have dozed off at some point and it was now early afternoon. "Oh, you must have heard about that young lad. It's horrible, isn't it? Did you know him?" she asked. "Who? What boy?" I asked. I was confused and felt literally insane from last night's incident. "His name was Ollie. They found him in the woods near Hines this morning. He'd hung himself."
You should include a green text to start things off, I think. I have one. Not too spooky, but it's something. Working the night shift at an office. 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. Pretty easy money. Only 2 things really suck about working there. 1. They ride your ass about filling your daily quota. 2. The parking lot situation is fucking sketch. It's across the street, in an isolated area situated in the warehouse district. Nobody around but crackheads and drug dealers, plus the odd cop now and then. So now imagine that it's 3 in the morning. You're punching out at work and you have to cross the street towards a dark, run-down parking garage. You've been filing papers all night, so you're not at your mental peak. It's an armed robbery waiting to happen. Obviously this situation stresses most of us out. It's not rare to hear coworkers coming into work saying shit like, "I swear someone was following me through the parking garage." Mainly you write it off as fear-induced paranoia. But then one night you're walking to your car. It's dark and isolated. You're fucked out here if anybody pulls a gun on you. If you go missing, nobody would notice until you fail to show up to work. You hurry to your car, feet tapping the cement like you're knocking on a crackhead's door. "Hey, come on out. Unarmed guy here with a wallet full of money. You have to head up the stairs because the first floor is off limits, which makes the trip back and forth worse. As you rush up the steps, you look up and see someone walk past the entrance into the second level. There's no mistaking it. It was a large man, heavy build. Probably dressed all in black. It was hard to see in the darkness of the garage. Now you're thinking, okay, this could be bad. You cautiously peek around the door and nobody's there. Walk through and make a mad dash to your car, but you hear footsteps running behind you. Oh fuck, he's got me. He's clearly moving much faster than you, and you speed up. Fumbling for your keys, but you drops them. Oh fuck, I'm dead. As you stop to bend over and pick up your keys, the footsteps are upon you. You fall over, twisting around and lifting an arm up in self-defense. But as you do, the footsteps rush past you. You can hear them, and you could even pinpoint their source if you had to. But there's nobody there. The garage is empty. The footsteps recede into the distance, seeming to round one of the corners, and then it's quiet. You're completely alone. Just sitting on your keys with a bruised ass. Then you hear someone coming up the steps. You panic for a moment. But it's just one of your coworkers. They're walking quickly, looking behind them. Then they see you and freeze. They recognize you and rush over. They ask if you're okay and you say yeah, but they can tell something's wrong. You heard the footsteps, didn't you? It happened to me too. Realize all those fuckers talking about being followed weren't lying. Hey everyone, took a while to write this story down, but I lost the notebook where I had all these logged for a bit. This is another story about when I used to work for the call center. I must preface this now that, to me, this one is the most unbelievable one in the sense that I'm shocked no one has spoken about this particular company on this site before. Be me working the night shift. Working from about 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Boss trusted me enough to leave for the night. This results in me being the only one in the building. It's cool cause it's a Friday going into Saturday. No one ever calls during those hours. Sitting there doing the professional equivalent of sitting around with my hand on my dick. Notice how subtly eerie the whole building is. Prime spooky material. Old carpets, scratched up walls, buzzing light fixtures, and even then 75% of the lights in the building were turned off. Suddenly get that feeling like I probably shouldn't be there. Think to myself, it's already 3 a.m. and you're getting paid double under the table, so who cares? Begin playing my PSP and boot up some GTA. Having fun being a degenerate in the game when suddenly I hear a scratch. I jumped from my chair the millisecond I heard it. I settled down and chalk it up to nerves since I was quite literally the only one in the building. At least, I thought I was. Didn't help the place was freezing cold at the time, so I already had shivers all over. Tried my best to ignore it and go back to work. Didn't seem like whatever made that sound was coming back. I simply just go back to work laughing it off as just shaky nerves. Fast forward to about 4 a.m. I start hearing a click. I recognize the sound. It's the sound of a lighter. What the fuck, JPG? Seeing it's time for lunch, I decide to go investigate. Walking around the office trying to find any clue as to where the noise came from. Can't seem to find a trail. Like whatever heard me knew I heard it and panicked. Now officially spooked, I begin to look around the restrooms. Empty. The cafeteria. Empty. Training rooms. Empty. Healthcare department. Empty. The entire building had an occupancy of 1. I begin texting my friend. He says it's probably the wind and the nerves are getting to me being all alone in a big empty building. I know what I heard and it wasn't the fucking wind. Decide to go get a cup of coffee from the cafeteria and say fuck it. Sitting there watching the clock roll down as my lunch hour passes. As I sit there drinking the shitty coffee from the vending machine, I see it. On the table close to mine. A cigarette. A semi-lit cigarette. I stare at the thing for what seems like an eternity. Almost like I was frozen. I jump off my chair and go to the phone. We had a specific phone that is only to be used if we needed to call a manager, or as we call them, team leader, for an emergency. I dial up the number. Manager picks up the phone from some club. Least the loud music led me to believe it was a club. Anon? What's up, dude? What's going on? I think there's someone here due to be. Anon just calls the cops? My lapse in judgment finally got to my head. Yes, sorry, I'll do that right now. It's just I kept hearing this random scratching and this cig I found. Cig? Anon, whatever you do, stay right there and don't fucking move. Me and some other TLS are gonna be right over. But what about the cops? Don't call them, we'll handle it. Kind of taken aback by what I just got told, I just tell him okay and wait. All the while the night seems to stand still. All of a sudden I feel like someone is watching me. That very specific feeling when you can just tell that a pair of eyes are on you. I turn around. Nothing. Being the big brain 200 IQ Anon I commence to say. Hello? Is someone there? I hear another quick lighter click. I see one of the panels of the ceiling move. Oh, that's what's going on. .png. I think to myself to take the initiative and get a ladder. Once again 200 IQ here. I got up in the ceiling and start looking around with my cruddy phone flashlight. Find piles of used cigs, food wrappers, and even some feces, all over the place. It smells like something fucking died. Around that time my cell phone rings. It's my boss. Hello? Anon. Are you good? Where are you? I tell him that I'm fine and that for now the noises have simmered down. Didn't want to tell him that I was investigating because I didn't want to get reprimanded on my first night all alone. As soon as we hang up I continue my trek and keep looking through the gunk and leftover papers wondering what the fuck I just stumbled into.